I'm Alicia,
I'm Abbey,
and this is
Mystic's Guide to the Universe, your guide to practical spirituality. So, Alicia, today we are talking about Samhain, also known as Halloween. At least it is the basis for Halloween. Samhain is spelled Samhain, so it looks like Samhain if you ever see that, but it is pronounced Samhain.
Yeah.
Why don't you start off telling us a little bit about Samhain?
Like Halloween, Samhain happens at the end of October, but technically, Samhain is celebrated on November 1st. You'll know it's Samhain when the foulest stench is in the air, maybe like the funk of 40,000 years. Grisly ghouls from every tomb are closing in to seal your doom. That's when you know that it's Samhain.
Are you quoting something?
On Samhain, although you fight to stay alive,
This is a song.
your body starts to shiver, for no mere mortal can resist the evil of the thriller.
Thriller!
I am so surprised that you knew that.
I have never seen the video though because it scares me.
Abby, I'm so proud of you for knowing Thriller.
It was literally just the one word. And I was like, I know one artist who has a song named Thriller.
I thought I could take credit for that and you would never know that it was a song, but now I have to give credit to Vincent Price for
You
that.
were clearly reciting something. I've heard recitations before.
I'm a poet. Now that you know when sound happens, when all of that is happening, we're going to talk about the history of it and how it has turned from this wonderful Celtic holiday and this Celtic festival into modern day Halloween. There's some really interesting reasons why we do things on Halloween that a lot of people just think, oh, it's just fun. It's just like spooky fun. This is one of my special interests.
Oh, okay.
Samhain, well, Halloween. What's your special interest?
I don't know. One day you'll get me started on it and then you'll know.
And then we'll know. Okay, perfect.
Dragons.
You know a lot about dragons?
I mean, I make up a lot about dragons. Like for the fact that dragons are cats.
What?
The reason why there are no dragons anymore is because they turned into cats. And that's why scientists can't figure out why cats have eyes like they do.
You know what animal has fucked up eyes? Goats.
It's like a door into the underworld.
And that's probably why everybody thinks that they're messengers of
The devil.
the devil.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the cultural significance of Samhain. So Samhain, it's a Celtic festival. It happens on November 1st. It's when pagans believe the veil between worlds is the thinnest. So when we say the veil between worlds, it's like a divider between the spiritual world and the physical world. It's said that when the veil is thin, spirits can easily cross over into the physical world, which is why we have so many ghouls and goblins and ghosts and spooky things associated with Halloween and with Samhain, because the veil between worlds is so thin that those things would creep into our world. And I really do believe that the veil is super, super thin during this time of year. And I can already feel the veil thinning. Can you feel it?
Yeah, because everything starts to come in more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice a slight pressure
Yes.
that starts like a month before?
Usually right around my birthday, which is the second day in September, I'm like, oh, I'm just getting older. Like I just feel more tired. But I get headaches and pressure right in my third eye. And it lasts until the beginning of November.
Yeah.
And then it just goes away. It's like, I feel like the door slowly opens. This is just how I feel. There's nothing, no history to back this up. But to me, the door opens so slowly. And then Halloween comes and then it's Samhain. And then boom, it just like slams shut. I still feel pretty connected, but it's definitely not the same as like leading up to it.
It's like garbled.
It's a little bit garbled. It's like you peak and then come down. Celebrating Samhain is very different from celebrating Halloween. Like for Samhain, you're going to want to do a lot of ritualistic group activities, dancing, feasting, going on nature walks, building altars for your ancestors, for spirit. None of the things that Samhain stands for is scary. Samhain doesn't represent anything spooky. It might be spooky to some people, but it's not like we're trying to ward off evil spirits. We're not trying to trick the devil. We celebrate life and death during Samhain. Samhain to pagans, especially Celtic pagans, is all about honoring spirit. It's about celebrating life and death. It's about celebrating death and rebirth. It's not about being scared of the spirits. We welcome them. We embrace them. We want to walk with them. We want to dance with them and eat with them. We are open to it, and we want these things to happen, and we want to connect and have messages. It's also a huge symbol of the harvest. It's about reaping what you've sown all year, because it doesn't just represent the veil being thin. It represents that shift from autumn into winter. So we've harvested. We now get to feast on all of these things that we've grown all summer and fall, and we really get to have these amazing meals full of like local produce that has been grown over the past few months. And it's like we're thanking ourselves and thanking our bodies for all of the work that we put in during planting season and harvest season. And now we get to eat all of that food, save it for the rest of the winter. We get to hunker down and just enjoy it and rest. And Samhain to me represents a time of shifting from work into, okay, now it's winter. We move into more introspective, restful time. It's a good time to focus on your own spirituality and grow and meditate. And so that's what Samhain means to me. And that's what it means to a lot of pagans today. So the Celts they called it the two hinges. One was Beltane, which is the 1st of May. And then the other hinge is Samhain, which is the 1st of November. They're the most magical times of the year. So Beltane is all about newness and beginnings and the beginning of spring where things are blooming. And then that represents life, and that represents everything awakening. And then Samhain is the exact opposite. So that represents things dying. The trees are losing their leaves. All of the grass is dying. The plants are going into hibernation mode. Those are the two peaks of the year. One for birth, one for death. And there's a reason why Samhain and Halloween are so associated with death, and that's that reason. And then everything else is kind of in between. Samhain is also a good time to celebrate past, present, future, as above, so below, the underworld, connecting yourself to all things, all living things and all dead things.
One of my favorite things that you and I do is graveyard walking.
Yes.
During this time of year. It's just been one of my favorite pastimes since we started doing it a few years ago.
We have such a different perspective because we can feel the energy. But I really do think that people who are walking in graveyards during Samhain or when the veil is thin, they're probably feeling things too. That's when you like feel like somebody's watching you, or you feel like there's somebody walking up behind you and there's not. You're feeling that energy. And we like to walk through graveyards and like actually talk to the people and call them out by name.
If you think you're not a witch, or that you're not that into it, but you're drawn to walk in graveyards, I've got news for you guys.
Surprise.
Welcome.
Welcome to the coven. Abby, what is your favorite part of Halloween?
That's a weird question because I've only not hated Halloween for like 10 years.
True.
So
now in your adult life, now that you know that Halloween isn't evil and the devil's birthday, what is your favorite part of Halloween?
I'd have to say carving pumpkins, because that was something that my dad made sure that we did every single year, and it was something we never failed to do together.
Okay, I love
that. He and I would always have like a contest against each other.
Do you know why jack-o'-lanterns are called jack-o'-lanterns?
No.
I do.
Please tell me.
Do you know the history of why we carve pumpkins?
I thought it was because of the turnips.
Yeah, so in Ireland, it originated in Ireland. They would carve turnips, and they were actually called jack-o'-lanterns.
Okay.
So there was this Irish myth about this man named Stingy Jack. Seriously.
Okay.
He tried to trick the devil for monetary gain. He was very stingy. He wanted money. So he would try to trick the devil to get money. Then, when Jack died, God didn't allow him into heaven, but the devil was pissed at him. So the devil didn't allow him into hell. So Jack was cursed to walk earth for all of eternity. And so in Ireland, people would carve demonic faces into turnips because on Samhain, the veil between worlds is very thin.
Mm-hmm.
And so they thought that any spirits that are still wandering earth can come and take things from them. That's why people would leave out
The treats.
That's why they would leave offerings, leave treats, because they thought that the spirits would take those treats instead of
Tricking them.
exactly. But Stingy Jack would take all of the treats, and then there wouldn't be any treats left to ward off other spirits. So they would carve demonic and scary faces into turnips to ward off Stingy Jack because they thought it would scare him away. But the thing is, when Irish settlers moved to America, there were no turnips. Like, pumpkins were so much more available here.
Mm.
So they changed from carving demonic faces into turnips, and they started carving them into pumpkins. And then we call them jack-o'-lanterns.
Neat.
And I wonder if Stingy Jack is still... Jack? Stingy Jack? You here?
Mm.
My purse is literally floating away. He's in my wallet right now.
Oh, my word.
Okay, so you're listening to this and you want to dive headfirst into Samhain, headfirst into Halloween. You want to take advantage of all of this magical, mystical energy of Samhain. How are you going to do that? Let's talk about some ways that you can tap in, grow your spirituality, and learn a little bit about yourself and about honoring the dead. And honoring the dead doesn't just mean honoring people who have passed. It's about honoring people that you had to let go of over the last year. It's about honoring things that you had to let go of. It's about getting yourself ready for new beginnings. And that's what we want to focus on this year. Who do you want to be by this time next year? And what is holding you back from doing that? I love creating a fall time altar, doing a fall simmer pot. I love decorating for fall. And I like to make my whole house an altar. Use things that represent fall: pumpkins, leaves, skulls. You can use the altar to be a focal point for your spiritual practice or just to look nice and connect you to fall.
Whenever different holidays roll around, different pagan holidays, I will change up the crystals that are on my altar because I have so many. So I'll put carnelian out. During Halloween, I'll put onyx out.
Okay, calling in that black and orange
Yeah.
Halloween energy. I like that. I really like to incorporate candles and fire. So fire is a really big symbol for this time of year because it's starting to get cold. You want to stay warm. It's also really good for banishing and releasing, which is what we're focusing on this time of year. So candles are huge. I like black candles.
Black is the color that Hecate likes you to burn.
Oh, okay.
Among others.
I've never been called to work with deities, but hearing you
Not yet.
hearing you talk about it, it's always so interesting to me.
They just haven't dialed your number yet. Also, let's talk about not having welcome mats on our doors.
Yeah, so
don't have a welcome mat, don't have a welcome sign, don't put anything on the front of your house that implies somebody is welcome to enter.
And you should follow that rule
anytime,
especially during the time when the veil is thin, because you're going to notice things are starting to happen. Cabinet doors are opening, the TV is turning on, lights are flickering. It's very possible that if you have a welcome mat or a welcome sign, you've inadvertently invited a spirit into your home. And sometimes even having a welcome mat that just says go away.
Yeah.
It's still a fun, cute welcome mat. It still does its job, but you're not welcoming that energy into your home. It's always been believed that on November 1st, the souls of the dead returned to their homes and visited for a day. Like in Mexican cultures, Dia de los Muertos, that's when the dead come back.
There's a lot of cultures that have an equivalent to Samhain or the Day of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that really interesting that across the world, so many cultures have a day that they say the dead come back and that you can commune with them. It's almost like there's an element of truth to it if all these cultures have figured it out by themselves.
Especially because they were doing this during a time where there was no way that they could have communicated.
Right.
There was no internet, there was no telephone, there was no carrier pigeon. There probably were carrier pigeons.
Probably not from continent to continent.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But there has to be some truth to it. And just us as spiritual people, we can feel that the veil is thinner and that we are having an easier time connecting. So there definitely is some truth to it. Since people believed that spirits would come back from the dead, they would do things to welcome them and honor them. They would put out their favorite treats. They would go to their graves or go to their porch or go to wherever they believed that these spirits were coming, and they would leave an offering for them, things that they loved when they were alive. They would play their favorite music. They would dance and they would feast and they would eat things that the dead would like if they were still here. And so that was their way of honoring the dead. And then it's just kind of turned into something so different, but it's gone through so many stages. And do you know the reason why people would dress up for Halloween?
To trick the ghosts?
Basically, yeah. There are a couple reasons. So, first reason, a lot of people would dress up as something scary to scare the ghosts away because they were scared of them. But also, people were leaving these offerings for the dead, and people would dress up like the dead in hopes of getting these offerings. So they would dress up as a ghost, or they would dress up as a goblin or a zombie or whatever, somebody dead. And then they would go around and take these offerings.
Oh, my word.
And they would think that they were slick because they would think that the underworld would just think that they were dead people and that they deserved these offerings. And they were hoping that the alive people would be like, oh, here you go. Here's your offering.
There's got to be some kind of backlash to stealing offerings to spirits.
There has to be. Maybe they just got stuck in their masks like Jim Carrey.
Oh, man.
Who knows? And so that's why people would dress up, and that's why we still dress up today. What's your favorite Halloween costume that you ever had? I know you've only been doing Halloween for a few years.
I got to be Pippi Longstocking.
Fun.
My mom bent a wire hanger over my head and braided my hair over it.
Cute.
And I had to turn sideways to walk through doors. But I had also just lost my 2 front teeth that year. So she like drew freckles on me and it was fun.
Oh, that's adorable.
Oh, wait, no, there was a year that I put on a Daisy Duck costume and it had a fake butt. So I would walk and waddle. I would waddle my way in and I got extra candy because I looked like a duck.
That is so cute. I want that costume now for me.
I do too.
I always dress up like a witch. Like I do the exaggerated witch. So I'm a witch every day of the year. But for Halloween, I get to be that exaggerated, like commercialized witch. And that's fun for me. I'm a witch every single year.
Yeah.
One time I was a cowboy and I got in trouble because I went to church and my shorts were too short.
Oh.
But it was a hot Halloween. I remember it was like 70 degrees.
Do you remember now that it's always raining and snowing?
It's been a rough couple of years for Halloween. Yeah. It has not been good weather. This year's going to be great because we have a lot of Halloween stuff coming up and we're just going to manifest good weather for it. So it's going to be wonderful. Okay. How can we take advantage of the energy of the veil being so thin? So this is a great time for new spiritualists and new witches to delve into their divination practices and to practice witchcraft because you're going to feel a stronger connection to it, but it's also going to work really well too.
Yep.
So what are some ways that new witches or people who are just kind of starting on this journey can take advantage of the veil being so thin?
I would say take the opportunity to do banishing. If there's anything you want to cast out of your life, any person, I would take advantage of that bonfire and start throwing some stuff in there.
Absolutely. It makes sense because Samhain is all about death. It is about letting go of things. It's about death, but it's also about rebirth because you have to let go of things in order to let new things in. And so it's a great time of the year using the guidance from your guides, your higher self, your deities, to figure out what you need to get rid of that so that when the winter starts, you can start to kind of prune things a little bit, have a little bit of downtime, be a little bit of a recluse. And then when spring comes, you're ready for all of this newness and this the beginnings. In order to really take advantage of all of the beginnings of spring, you have to let things go during the fall. So Samhain is a great time to do that. I think that was a really great answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think a good way to take advantage of the veil being thin, start your divination. Grab your pendulum, talk to your guides, start pulling tarot cards for yourself. We just did a class on scrying and we did a class on a charm casting. It'd be a great time to try that too. And anything that you can do to try to get messages from the other side, now's a great time to start that. Tap into your inner voice. Who do you want to be? Halloween is all about dressing up as somebody different than you. Maybe take this opportunity to try out different things, try out a different style, try out a different version of yourself, dress like it. And then if someone's like, what are you doing? You can say, well, it's Halloween, calm down. See if you like it. See what feels right. I didn't really have the opportunity to be an emo teenager. So then I would use Halloween to dress the way that I really wanted to dress. And it just turned out that I was dressing like a witch, and now I get to dress like that every single day.
You really do have an impeccable sense of witchy style.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited for fall because I'm going to just go full witch. I'm very pumped for it. It's just too hot in the summer to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a great time of year to get your friends together. And I'm not going to say everybody take your shirt off and dance around a fire, even though that's what I always want to do and nobody will ever do it with me. So if you're listening to this and you want to take your shirt off and dance around a fire with me, let me know. But
that was like one of the first times we hung out. You, Katie, and I were all laying on the blanket outside. And then you were like, so do you guys like want to get up and dance naked? And this was honestly like the first time that we ever really hung out. I was like, dang.
there is a spiritual significance to being vulnerable in the elements. Okay. If you are naked outside, you're more grounded. I love to swim naked. I love to go outside naked because it really does make me feel connected.
Makes
to
your
nature.
Neighbors feel connected too.
Makes my neighbors feel very connected. I should start posting my Venmo really, like get a big billboard. There really is spiritual significance to going outside naked and like baring yourself to the elements. However, that's not what I'm going to say. Get together with your friends and practice divination. Practice pulling tarot cards for each other. Practice using your pendulum together. Like, do readings for each other. Even if you've never done it before, this is a great time of year to do that. And you can do rituals with them too. Do a fire release. Do a cacao ceremony. Do a bunch of mushrooms in the woods. Do something with your friends or your coven that helps you feel connected. This is a really important time of year for me specifically because I live in the frozen tundra for half the year. I love to connect with nature and connect with the grass and connect with the trees before they go to sleep. I am in a point right now in my journey where I am soaking up as much of summer and early fall as I possibly can. And as the weather gets cooler, the energy shifts and I love it. I love that energy shift, but sometimes it's really difficult for me to say goodbye to summer. And so I use this time of year to use the last little bit of sunlight and the last little bit of warmth to connect to nature. And hopefully that carries me through the winter.
I am most alive in late fall and winter.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true.
I don't know what that means.
And I am most alive in summer and early fall.
Yeah, I don't enjoy spring, summer. Nope.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as that crisp hits the air, I'm like, I'm alive, you know? And that's when I start throwing open my windows. That's when I start doing chili and simmer pots.
Yep.
Like, I am ready.
I love a simmer pot. I love my house to smell good, especially in the fall when the windows are open. You ever go on a first date, or do you ever try to start to get to know somebody, a new friend or a potential partner, and they ask you, what is your perfect Sunday? Like, that was always a question that everybody asked. What's your perfect Sunday? My perfect Sunday is always, it's about 60 degrees outside. All of my windows are open. My house is spotlessly clean. I have a simmer pot on the stove. There's something baking in the oven, and there's just faint football playing in the background. I can just hear the announcers.
You had me right up to football.
It's just, there's something so cozy about hearing football being played. Maybe it's just because my dad did
probably
your
why.
dad, he didn't watch sports.
He did watch sports all the time, but
see, my dad was a yeller when it came to sports, but still there's just something comforting about hearing the announcers just calling plays or whatever in the background. And that's my perfect Sunday. And then all I have to do, I can just sit in my living room, feel the cold air, like nobody in the house is bothering me. And it's just a nice, cozy fall day. And that's my perfect Sunday. And you can only have that during certain times of the year. And it's not even about those things. It's not even about how my house smells or how the air feels. It's about the energy that all of those things bring.
I'm craving that day so badly right now.
We're so
now
close.
That you've described it.
We are
I'm just
so close.
Pining for it.
Like what I want to be sitting in my living room and I want to have my Nintendo Switch in my hand and I want to be playing Stardew Valley. And I don't want anybody to talk to me for 7 hours. And that is the perfect Sunday.
Oh, man.
And you can only have that energy certain times of the year because there's such a hectic energy around summer. During spring, you're like preparing for summer. You're preparing for the busy time. Summer, it's so busy. It's hectic. You want to be outside as much as possible. There are things going on constantly because everybody is just soaking up summer. And it's so hot and you're exhausted. And then fall. It's like, fall is like the first day off of work after you've worked 2 weeks straight without a day off. I feel like I always used to hate winter and I would dread winter. I don't feel that way anymore. I know now, and it was my witchcraft journey that brought me here. Each season has its purpose. Each season is beautiful. Each season is important. Summer, obviously, that's fun. That's sunshine. It's being in the water. It's being outside. It's
growth.
It's growth. It's work. It is time for fun. Fall, there's nothing bad about it.
Yeah, all 2 weeks of it.
I think we're going to get a good fall this year.
Do you really?
Yeah, because summer feels like it lasted so long.
Last Christmas, it was 65 degrees on Christmas Day.
Well, the earth is dying and we're all dying with it. So
that's true. Yep, true story. All right, with that, have a great day. I'll talk to you later.
Love you guys. See you on the other side. It's always really interesting to me to learn how the traditions that we carry today started out. These all were carried down from generation to generation through storytelling. So that is why you see a lot of people getting together, telling scary stories. Now is a good time to get with your kids, tell them stories about your childhood. I love to tell my kids about all of the times that I've seen ghosts or aliens. And of course they don't believe any of it, but it's fun. My grandfather used to tell me about aliens and UFOs that he would see. And now I get to tell those stories to my kids and hopefully they tell it to theirs. And it's a great time to do that. I know my dad still to this day tells me crazy things that his uncle told him and crazy things that his grandfather told him. And so that is how these stories get passed down. Of course, they change every single time they're told. Even when I tell my own stories, I add a little detail every time I tell it. Tell the stories. Our own personal lore is what makes us unique. Thank you for journeying with us through the history of Halloween and Samhain. We hope you guys have an amazing spooky season.
Now go run amok.